Welcome. Terry here again, another Thursday morning. This morning, as is my practice, I check out about 5 or 6 different sources of news, be it through newspapers or television or media, various other media. And I just read a whole bunch of headlines and read into the articles and so on. And then a couple of days ago, I heard the news that a couple of older folks with pre-existing conditions came down with the virus, coronavirus, and are in the hospital on ventilators in grave condition. And then heard a while back that a person I care for was a recipient of an act of violence just because of profiling. And I must admit, it all came together this morning to kind of get me down. That's not usual for me. I tend to be an upbeat guy looking for the positive side, believing the universe overall is a positive place. But this morning it kind of got to me, just fogged my mind a little bit, or just saddened me to see what's happening with in our national leadership, the way people are responding to each other, the way taking sides, or the rage that I see, or not being concerned for one another. So it kind of got me down a little bit. But then I watched, interestingly, the latest episode on YouTube by Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. I recommend it to you if you haven't watched it. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, hosted by Emmanuel Acho. And one of the things he said in there is that he believes change is coming. Change is coming, and it starts with you, he said. Uncomfortable conversations, but what great wisdom. A reminder, really. Be the change you want to be, or be the change you want to see in the world around you and the people around you. Just the way he put it, change is coming. And he put it in the context of positive change, of hopeful change, and for the Black community, for our culture, change is coming, which I certainly generally can see or can feel, dare to hope for, that humanity is evolving in a positive direction, in a more compassionate direction, a more loving direction, in a way to step back from greed and self-interest, to grow beyond it. So change is coming, and it starts with you. Reminds me how easy it is for me to pick up the culture or to be infected by it. Now, the infection rate for the coronavirus is dangerously high, and the consequences are dangerously high, but I believe so is where the culture is right now, where people are feeling and reacting to one another, and recognizing that's, as we took a walk this morning and wore our masks and stayed 6 foot away from other people, and we'll stay home probably the rest of the day and so on. We take those precautions against that. But then there's also precautions against being infected by. That doesn't mean we don't see it. That doesn't mean that I would never stand against it or try to keep it contained or help people move beyond. But at the same time, recognize that maybe there are some masks that are some barriers I need to put up between myself and that, some emotional barriers that I don't get infected by that. So be the change. Change is coming, and embody it myself. So when I hope for people being more compassionate to one another, okay, be that. Show that. Grow into that. Nurture that within myself. When I see rage around me, or see people responding against others and responding in kind, saying, oh, that's not good, but then watch for those times when I begin to do that. When I pick up that infection and just say, no, this is not the way I want to be. This is not the way I want to live, the way I want to act. Or if I see, when I see acts of racial profiling or racial violence or any act of violence against another person, to make sure that emotionally, I don't think I'd ever do that physically. I can't imagine that. That's not in my makeup. But there is that emotional violence or that anger, that rage that lashes out to people, and just say, that's not what I want to see in the world, so that's not who I want to be or the way I want to act myself. So after reading those news reports and hearing that, yeah, I was kind of down. But then I listened to a conversation, or engaged in a conversation, uncomfortable conversation with a black man through YouTube, and heard those encouraging words that change is coming. And my role in that is to be the change I would like to see. Live in a way that I hope others might catch, might move toward. And it's not an arrogant thing, it's just a sense in myself, what kind of a world would I love to see? And then live that. And I'll influence as much as I can. I will, through my life, through transforming presence is what I call it, through embodying it, through modeling it, encouraging other people to join me. But today, somehow, I'm going to watch, not somehow, every circumstance, I will watch for opportunities to be the change I would like to see, the change that I believe is, that I dare to believe is emerging in our world and our culture. And I encourage you to do the same. And somehow just being able to step back and say, I don't need to be engaged, but I don't need to be infected by that. I don't need to come down with that. I can step back, step apart a bit, and be different. Be peculiar, or in my tradition, be holy. And holy means being separate, being apart from, being living in a way that is engaged and yet disengaged, is engaging from a disengaged place, from a center place that is at peace. Let's you and I do that together. And who knows, as more and more of us do that and continue to do that, who knows what kind of a future might emerge. Talk to you later.